pumpkin pie,
Pumpkin pie.
and
Pavlova. Mrs. Mellon loved pumpkin pies. Pavlova's peace and quiet. She worked in a quiet, peaceful library and lived in a quiet, peaceful street. She had a garden where she grew pumpkins and the kitchen where she made pumpkin pies and pavlovas. Miss Mellon was very happy until Mr. Watkins moved next door. Watkins loved hens. He had 3 of them in a coop in his backyard. The names were Daisy, and Crazy.
he thought.
They were the happiest and the most beautiful hens in the world. But they hadn't always been like that. The Watkins hens had been rescued from a cage farm. The hens spent the first year of their lives locked in small cages. They had to lay eggs every day. They never went outside to walk around, to scrape the ground for food, bathe in dust, or do any of the things that free hens normally do. Mr. Watkins adopted the hens when he discovered that they needed a good home. He put them comfortable, safe coop. He collected their eggs. He fed them while and looked after them. Sometimes Mr. Watkins let his hens out of the coop so they could have fun in his garden. Like his hens, Mr. Watkins was very happy until he moved next door to Mrs. Mellon. One day, Mrs. Mellon came to the fence when Mr. Watkins was collecting eggs from the coop. Mr. Watkins, your hens are very noisy, she said. I like peace and quiet, but are your hens making silly noises? I work in a lab all day, and the last thing I need when I come home is to hear your feathery friends going. Buck, buck, buck. Mr. Watkins, and said he was sorry, but that didn't stop Mrs. Mellon, even when I am in the kitchen baking Pavlova. Buck, buck, buck. You still are here. Mr. Watkins made his friendliest smile. My hands can help you make even better Pavlovas. Hands make better Pavlovas, said Mrs. Mellon. Ha! Ha! That's crazy. Not just crazy? Not just crazy. After Mr. Watkins, but Daisy and Maisie as well. A tiny smile escaped from Mrs. Mellon's lips as Mr. Watkins handed her the eggs. Try them, he said. Fresh eggs from happy hens always make the best Pavlovas. Thank you, said Mrs. Mellon, keeping the smile trapped inside her mouth until she was back in her kitchen. The next day, Miss Mellon was weeding her pumpkin patch when Mr. Watkins came to collect his eggs. Mr. Watkins, she called over the fence. Your hands did help me make the best pavlova ever, but they still make too much noise. Sorry, said Mr. Watkins, but that didn't stop Mrs. Mellon. Look at my pumpkins, she said. They're not growing well because, like me, they need peace and quiet, and your hands are too noisy. Mr. Watkins made his friendly smile. If you want, my hands could help you grow the best pumpkins in the world. Hands grow pumpkins, scoffed Miss Mellon. Ha ha ha! Ha ha ha! That's crazy. Not as crazy as Mr. Watkins, but Daisy and Maisie as well. Mrs. Melling didn't laugh. She'd heard that joke before. How can hens grow pumpkins? She said. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? I'm talking about poop. Laughed Mr. Watkins. I'm talking about Daisy. Daisy and Crazy poop. When I clean out the hen coop, I use it on my pumpkin patch. The hen poop makes the soil rich, so that I grow the best pumpkins ever. Then Mr. Watkins took a very large pumpkin from he said and gave it to Mrs. Melling. Here's one from the patch at my last house, he said. Try it out. Miss Melling was impressed, especially after she tasted her best pumpkin pie ever. The next time Miss Melling talked to Mr. Watkins, the fancy didn't complain about his hands. She asked him how she could get some hands of her own. But I thought you looked peace and quiet, asked Mr. Watkins. I do,
Cool.
said Miss Melling, but not as much as pumpkin pies and Pavlovas. Mr. Watkins knew exactly where to get some hands from Mrs. Melling, but first she needed a coop. He helped her build a coop in return for pumpkin pie and Pavlova. When the coop was finished, Miss Melling brought the best Pavlova and the best pumpkin pie in the world of watershed was Mr. Watkins. Mr. Watkins was sitting on his deck with a smile on his face and happy looking and on his head. Miss Melling laughed. That's crazy, she said. No, it's not, said Mr. Watkins as Daisy, crazy as trying out the roasting box in your new coop.